Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and these conversations are Charter Moms chats. I've been going live in the afternoons to share with families the things they need to know to keep their kids learning. And for over a year, we've been dealing with the disruptions of the pandemic. But it feels like the world is starting to reopen, and we're needing to find resources and get prepared. So the topic today, we're talking about if you have like a middle schooler who's going into high school or a kid who's in high school and you want to make sure that they're able to graduate and they're ready for what's next. And so this is called post-secondary success. And we have specifically, it's the Paths to Success resource hub created by Learning Heroes. And so the guests I have today to talk about it, we have Khalid Zakaria, he's a repeat guest, and he's an academic counselor at Frank L. Madla Early College High School, which is down on the south side, and it's in partnership with Palo Alto College. And they get kids ready for the future by earning them college credits at Palo Alto while they're still in high school. And Khalid's been a guest before, him and the principal, Jeff Flores. They're great guys, and he's got a lot of real world experience of coaching kids at this stage and understanding what the challenges are. Helping kids progress even in spite of the pandemic. And then we have a new guest. I'm so excited to welcome Howard Winchester III. He is joining us from the Eastern time zone. So he's in the DC area. And Howard is a communications manager at Learning Heroes, which is a nonprofit in the DC area. But they've created this resource hub, Paths to Success, and they have resources that are geared towards families in San Antonio. So I'm so grateful that San Antonio is a city that they focused on. And they're working really hard to make a difference so that families like me and Khalid, like we have kids who are at this like middle school, high school stage, and that we're keeping them on track and that we're prepared for the future. So I'm just really excited for this conversation. And we have a guest post created by the folks at Learning Heroes. And there's a link to it in the description of the video. So if you're stumbling across the video, please click on the link and read the blog post, and it's got links to the Paths to Success resource hub. And so let's dive in. I've got some questions ready for these guys. First question I'm going to ask Khalid. So in your job as academic counselor at Frank L. Madla Early College High School, which is a mouthful, I'll put it up on screen again. So like your role is advising students like as they are coming into high school, right? So you've got a whole crop of 8th graders who are going into high school next year, and then you've got kids at all these stages, and you're getting them ready to start taking college classes, and some of them haven't set foot on campus in a long time. So as you talk to students and their families, like what are they most concerned about right now, and what are some of the obstacles that they face as they're trying to get ready for graduation?
When I talk to families, it's almost like it's broken down into 3 different categories now. I have pre-pandemic, I have during pandemic, and I have post-pandemic. And the pre-pandemic, it was typically the talk was, can my student handle it? It's a lot of hard work. How will they be supported? All those sorts of things. During the pandemic, it kind of shifted toward learning styles and more of the when can my student come back to campus? Well, how does virtual learning work? Well, what happens if they get behind? Well, how can we still get support? And now that we're heading post-pandemic, the support piece has always been the big piece of it, and what we're having now as a school, and I would imagine most schools are going through the same process, but what do those supports look like and how do those supports change and evolving with the change in the supports. I know for my campus in particular, what we're looking at and what I'm actually trying to work on and developing is how do I get students get back used to coming to school every day? I might have said this in the last podcast, I don't remember, but I was talking about my son, and I said, from kindergarten through 7th grade, he had to ask for permission to use the restroom every day. And I said, for the last 15 months, he can go whenever he wants to. And that's the story for a lot of students, like how do I get used to, okay, I'm hungry, let me go in the kitchen and grab a snack in between classes. That's no longer an option for my students. So, understanding that we can kind of ease them back into this, and it's not going to be something that's we're going to be able to devolve from overnight. And then there's the other side of that is I have some students who love online learning. I have some students who don't want to come back, and getting them we automatically think like, oh, online learning is bad and nobody likes it. No, there's a good amount of students who are really enjoying being at home and how do we reintegrate them, and how do we, you know, find out what can we do now differently. And I know we talked about this last time, but what kind of what can we do to, I guess, ease that process up on what is the student looking for, and how does what we're doing now relate to where we want to go in the future. So those are two big things right now, and I think the biggest thing now, as far as obstacles and what I hear from parents, is support. You know, because our kids are going to need support. They're going to need some kind of reacclimation, and it's not going to happen overnight. You know, and if the students have been gone for a year and a half, we're foolish if we think that 1 week over the summer is going to get a student ready to go back to school full time. You know, it's going to be a process, but understanding where we want to go with it and then building our process from there.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I know what you mean about, like, yeah, I'm wondering, yeah, my son's used to bathroom breaks and snack breaks and water breaks. Yeah. But I know it's gonna be good for him when he does get back on campus, because like he loves like STEM activities, he loves building stuff, and it can't really, it's hard, it's like it's not the same, like the teamwork aspect is not the same, and getting to explore your interests is not the same if he's like cooped up with me all the time. Like, I'm not providing those. Right. I'm not adding in new influences. I'm not asking him questions that challenge him. Like, it's like, oh, it's you again. So he needs to be around different adults.
He's done with his mom time.
Yeah. Okay. So my next question is for Howard, and answering in the context of, since you're very knowledgeable about Learning Heroes and the mission and the resources that y'all collect, and you guys have done this before on things like avoiding summer slide and like helping kids get ready for back to school. But like this year, just, things are so different. So, when I was talking to your team, like they said that they realized that this high school piece was really at risk right now because of the pandemic. And so I'm wondering, like, what things do you think might be holding students back from being able to successfully complete high school, or to get all the credits they need to be able to move on? How do we make sure that students are going to be able to get ready for college in spite of whatever the pandemic might have thrown at them?
Yeah. So first, thank you so much for having me. Really, really great to be here. And just to kind of give a little bit of kind of background. So at Learning Heroes, one thing that we focus on is what parents are thinking, saying, and feeling, right? And we do that through research, through surveying and everything. We never want to just assume that a parent is thinking something or a parent wants something. We always kind of base it in research. So it's at the forefront of all of our research, and it informs all of our resources. And that piece is something that you had mentioned, Khalid, that parents need support, and parents are critical to a child's success in school. If you don't bring parents along, then the entire kind of chain just kind of crumbles, right? One of the biggest things holding students back from successfully completing high school, from being successful in high school, and just kind of being ready for college, is that many of them aren't getting the support that they need to succeed. So according to our research, year after year, 9 out of 10 parents, regardless of race, income, gender, education level, any demographic, stature, they believe that their child is at or above grade level in reading and math. And the stark reality is that it's only about 37% of students are actually at grade level math. So that's a huge gap, from 90% to 37%. Now, why is this, right? For one, a lot of the time, the child nor the parent, they sometimes don't even know that they're not on, grade level in reading and math. For years they've gotten the A's, they've gotten the B's. They go to the parent-teacher conferences, and they're saying, "Oh, your child's doing good." And when they get the report cards, they see my child has all A's, or a bunch of A's and a sprinkle of B's. So they're clearly doing fine. When we've seen that report cards alone are not the only a thing that focuses on how to kind of see how successful your child is doing. And then you think as students transition into high school and beyond, whether it's a 2-year or a 4-year college or some other path, being prepared is the key for their success. The challenges are greater when they don't have the necessary skills that they need to pursue post-secondary options. And we want to prepare them beforehand so that the first time that they're told, hey, you're not actually on grade level, or, your math skills aren't kind of, on par, is not when they're in a college classroom their freshman year, and they have to take a remedial math course, right, or a remedial English course to try to kind of get on grade level when they get to college. And then giving parents the tools that they need to keep track of their child's academic success, and providing them with a more accurate picture can help prevent these types of barriers for children in the future. The other piece is something that we talk about a lot at Learning Heroes, is the barrier of social and emotional well-being. We know from our data that one of the most important things that parents want for their child is a healthy social interaction and life skills. During the pandemic, a loss of social interactions was one of the key things that parents were concerned about, because everyone was socially distant, and a child being able to go and play with their friends, or go to the basketball court and shoot some hoops. Those small things, they matter a lot, especially to children in the developmental stages of middle school going into high school. And you think about transitioning to high school already is like filled with so many different variables and challenges. Like as you guys mentioned, like going from having to ask for something, or kind of having to be given permission, you're given a little bit more freedom, when you're in high school, right? So not being able to kind of hone in on those changes in your social and your emotional interactions can be detrimental on the long term for the development of successful students in high school. And so we kind of focus on just kind of giving them the emotional and social support that they deserve, so they can be successful.
That's really, what you're saying makes it jives with what I'm hearing from, right? So like part of what SHR Moms does is we have this discussion group. So anyone who's watching, if you're not already a member, ask to join. It's SHR Moms discussion group on Facebook. And we had an explosion of questions today, but like parents ask all kinds of questions. And part of it is like, hey, like how are you keeping your kids connected? And like, people talking about like scavenger hunts and, playing Minecraft together online. And just, I feel like we've kind of used up all of our bag of tricks. And I just we found out today that the libraries are going to reopen in San Antonio on Monday. And I am so excited that the libraries are going to be open. Had you heard that, Khalid, about the libraries?
I'm first hearing it, but
yeah, breaking news, right? Yeah, I'm happy. And this reminds me of like last summer we had a guest post, Khalid and Jeff, they talked about the friend tree that they had there. Khalid, you want to comment on that just a little bit, what the friend tree activity was?
It was, once again, the beginning of the pandemic, we kind of took it as time to explore some things and try out new stuff. It's funny, as an educator, I often told myself and I told the staff, this is the year to take risks. Let's find out what works, because it's all new. So with the friend tree, that was just about connecting students. It was really just about getting our students to connect with other students, because they missed that connection, and getting them back in that mode of, you can still socialize. Just because you're locked down doesn't mean you're, in solitary confinement. And I think that, drawing the difference between the two, that was something that we were really trying to do with the friend tree. So, and it turned out pretty good. It actually worked.
yeah, right. It's like, it's not just like the family tree of like, father, mother, sisters, but like, think of all the people you're connected to, who they're connected to. And then, it prompts you to reach out to them, like text them, or, call them on the phone, or play a game together. And just realizing you're not alone. And I hope, I feel like that's kind of what SHR Moms has done, like during the pandemic, like I couldn't go on school tours and stuff, but I would reach out to people like Jeff and Khalid, say, hey, can you write a guest post for us? And through like collaborating on things like that, I felt like we actually in some ways got closer and strengthened relationships with some of the schools we've been wanting to work with and just hadn't found a way to interface yet. So I hope those things help moving forward. I have another question for Khalid. So you were talking about actually both of y'all have mentioned like, what it's like getting kids on campus, getting them reacclimated to campus. Like Howard mentioned that, high school has different expectations than middle school. And so, Khalid, I'm wondering what are you and Jeff and like the folks at Franklin Madla, early college high school, doing to get kids acclimated, whether it's that they're new to the school or maybe they've been doing distance learning all year, they're coming into 10th grade and it's all new to them?
Well, the mantra for this year, Mr. Flores, I can't take credit for this one. Mr. Flores came up with this one, but it was we have to lead with grace and patience because this is something that's completely new for our students. As far as the reacclimation piece, right now, we've already started working on what is the summer going to look like, because we cannot afford to just wait until the summer, wait until August, and try to spend this whole a whole semester trying to get everything back. And again, like I said, it's taking baby steps, is understanding where we're trying to go and what the big picture is. So our plan right now is to have some summer programs and do some things over the summer to start acclimating our kids in. We're still accepting applications for 8th graders. So if you're an 8th grader, you're looking for a spot, we definitely love to have you. And the sooner the better, because the quicker we get our students and the quicker we find out who our students are going to be, then we can start providing those resources. And that's one of the things we're looking at. And then, checking back in every week, every month, coming up with plans. I think a lot of times in education, where we get caught up is we want to do things in isolation and we expect one thing. If I have one event, we're good, and if I do one social emotional classroom activity, then okay, well, we've addressed social emotional support. We can't checkbox our way through this. What we can do is we can plan, create landmarks, create benchmarks, and go and build on this. But we have to understand that it's a building process. I like what Howard was saying when he was speaking on knowing where your student is at and knowing where their process is. One of my little cliches or whatever is when you're lost, it's not because you don't know where you're going, it's because you don't know where you're at. Like if somebody's lost, the first question somebody asks you is, okay, where are you at? So when you're trying to help give someone directions, I can't give Howard directions to San Antonio if I don't know where Howard is right now. So once I know where he's at right now, then I can give directions. And once I give those directions, I can't just say, okay, just drive for 300 miles. You have to give them landmarks along the way. Okay, about 30 minutes into it, you're going to see this gas station. About an hour into it, you might run by this restaurant. You might pass this landmark. So building a long-term plan. I know I talked about that a lot last time, and I'm real big on what is a long-term plan here. And are we starting from a little bit further back? In some cases, yes. I mean, it's inevitable. The COVID slide is not a make-believe thing. It's not a scare word. It's where we're at. And the quicker we accept where we're at, the quicker we can start building that plan to move forward. And I think that's going to be one of the things we're really excited. I'm really excited about. I know I'm speaking for myself. I'm very excited about, let's build this plan forward. The world's spreading, but we can't let it stop. So that's where we're going to move forward with.
Yeah, I think I feel that excitement too of like it's mixed with a sense of just how much like how many challenges, and I feel this in my own family. I know that I feel some grief about things that we weren't able to do, about expectations that I had of things that were supposed to happen last summer or were supposed to happen this year, and ways of how I want to help my kids build independence. So I have 2 kids. My son is on the autism spectrum, and so building independence is it's a big challenge. And he's gotten a little too comfortable with some of the routines we have. I need to mix it up a little bit, and help him grow. And so I'm sad about things that I feel like we missed out on, but I'm excited about the world reopening and what the possibilities are. And that's the sense I get from you as well. And then there's another thing what you said about we can't checkbox our way through this. And this reminds me of a conversation I had with another school leader the other day, not recorded, but the word we kept coming back to was vigilance. That this kind of problem solving is going to take vigilance. It's not a one and done. That it's going to take, and the people overseeing systems to make change. You have to sweat the details and and check in on each kid and make sure each kid is making progress. And that just getting up and saying making a grand statement, that's not going to change it. It takes these really detail oriented things, and like you said about landmarks and having steps along the way so that it's concrete. That's my experience as a parent, and as I talk to more and more school leaders about how we're going to get through this, those I think are the solutions that are really going to make a difference.
Absolutely. So, I know that a lot of times we want to just do one thing, and did that one thing, we addressed it. We can't approach it like that. We cannot approach this like this.
No, yeah. I think one thing that I've learned, something that I heard a few years ago and has literally stuck with me consistently, is this idea of it's not one size fits all. It's one size fits one. And I have like always used that in like every aspect of my life, because it's this idea that, you know, like you were saying, Khalid, this idea that if you do this one thing, it's going to work for everyone, right? Like you were saying earlier, there are some kids who they're not ready to go back to school, right? They enjoy the virtual piece. There are some kids who are dreading, you know, who dread having to log in to Zoom or to whatever, you know, online platform they are to do virtual learning. So it's figuring out what works for the overall kind of general public, but then also understanding that, as you mentioned, you're going to have to be creative. You're going to have to think outside of the box. You're going to have to come up with some strategic and new thoughtful ideas and to motivate and to kind of get this kind of this train running again, because, you know, you think about it, this train has been sitting in the station for the last year, you know, so it's not just going to be I come in, press a button, and it's going to be chugging along. Like, it's going to take a lot more than that to just kind of get it back into the normal groove. And then, and to kind of continue with that analogy, even when you're on the tracks, you're pretty sure there's going to be some bumpy going along, you know, until you kind of get to the groove of, okay, I can do this again, you know. So I totally agree with you guys.
Yeah. Well, speaking of resources, that Howard, I was wondering if you could talk more about specifically like on the Paths to Success hub, like what are some of the resources that are there? Because, like, and you said it's one size fits one. So, you know, but the important thing is, like, so a family can go to this hub and then they find the tools that will help them. And it might not be like, you know, some tools might work for some families, other families might gravitate to other tools. But you know, my goal with this chat and with the guest post is to make parents aware that this is there and that it can help them.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So Path to Success is a resource that was created with the help of our amazing partners, Univision, National PTA, Remake Learning Days across America, and Cheese for Change. And we created it back in February. And as we mentioned before, it was aimed at parents of middle schoolers. So the resource provides tips and tools for these families for these families to help prepare them not only for high school, but for whatever post-secondary path, you know, the child may take. You know, we know that could be a 4-year college, it could be a technical college, it could be a trade school, you know. So, you know, it's definitely opening up to figuring out, as long as preparing them for whatever path they take outside of college. And we decided to create Paths to Success because of 3 main reasons. So the first one was in our data has shown that as students in like the middle school grades transition into high school, their parents begin to give them more autonomy, right? They give them more independence, they give them more autonomy, they give them more responsibility. So now it's no longer I'm going to be the checking on your teacher or talking to your teacher or figuring out, like, did he have homework today? Like, as you're getting into high school, I'm putting that responsibility on you to be more responsible and accountable for your work and that you're doing in school. But along with that, we realized that parents also want resources to help their child. So while I'm giving you the autonomy and the responsibility, still as the parent, I want the best for you. So I still want those resources to give to my child. But as we realized, we want the resources, but the resources just aren't there, right? There's a huge gap in available resources for parents of middle schoolers compared to, say, parents of elementary schoolers or parents of kids who are in high school who are preparing to go to college, right? There's so many resources for both of those age groups, but for that transition period, there's not that many resources. And one thing that we don't do at Learning Heroes, we don't recreate the wheel, right? So we kind of figure out what's not out there already, and what can we do to kind of add value into the resources that we're putting out there, you know. So Paths to Success, it includes a 1-pager that is available in both English and Spanish, so it's bilingual. And there are 5 major tips that are highlighted across the resource that we found are key areas parents of transitioning youngsters value the most, like knowing the milestone for your child during high school, figuring out what, as my child is going into high school, what do I need to know, graduation requirements, or what does this school particularly require from a student versus, say, the school down the road. Nurturing their life skills. One thing that we continued to talk about was this social emotional concept, making sure that we're not losing the nurturing of those life skills, even though we are virtual. So, Khalid, like you mentioned, thinking outside of the box and just being super creative in how we interact with one another. Considering their class choices, right? So if I want my child to go to a top school, right, or figuring out like, or pretty early on, what classes they need to take to determine kind of the college that you're thinking about, or more so, more importantly, the career path they may want to take. Like if your school offers, let's say, creative writing, like you want to be a writer, it may be important for you to take a creative writing class in high school if it's something that your school, offers. And then finally, thinking about something as simple as financial aid insight. If you're going to college after high school, starting pretty early and knowing what the FAFSA is and how financial aid works versus waiting until you get to senior year and you're like, oh crap, I need to do the FAFSA and I have no idea what I'm doing. So kind of getting those little bit of tidbits of information early on could really help both the parent and the student in the long term. And the tips include links to a myriad of partner resources that parents can use to help their families prepare and succeed for high school, success in high school and beyond.
That was what struck me so much about the website here. I'll pop the URL back up again. Like, it was just like the richness of it. That it's like I have a kid at this age and I didn't even know all this stuff was out there in Texas. It's part of like the SA Turner Mom's journey. It kind of echoes like my own kids, right? So like I used to write a lot about like where you would go with your preschooler. Now I have guest bloggers to write about that because I don't know anymore. But like I'm learning so I was talking at my kids' school, like, okay, it's like, when do they start taking for the standardized tests for college, like, and do they even do that anymore? But I guess because like for a while it was hard to get seated for a standardized test administration, but maybe that's coming back. I don't know, like the world is always changing, but like I don't even know like when do we need to get ready for that. And like I'm trying to research like how much harder are the AP classes, how much more homework do the AP classes have, is it better to let my kid put more effort into extracurriculars or the electives that he's really passionate about? Maybe he should take fewer AP classes because he'll be more engaged in school if he gets to put more energy into like the clubs or like the after school stuff that he's doing. It's like it's that trade-off, and it's not one size fits all. So I'm trying to like talk to other families I know and find out what's working for them. But yeah, I mean it's been stressful for me, and and it's like, and I think about education all the time. So that's why I think like what you guys have done, like you said, you're not reinventing the wheel, like, but you're gathering up things. Like you listen to parents, you find out what do they need to know, what are they asking, and they're saying, hey, there's not enough guidance for families of middle schoolers, and there's not enough guidance about how we deal with these challenges that the pandemic has brought up, right? Like, so like Khalid's giving examples of like the social emotional learning stuff, and like what if kids are farther behind, what if they have academic gaps that we need to close? That's what parents are saying, and you guys have created a tool that fits the needs of what people are asking for. So that's why I'm proud to be sharing about it and drawing more attention to it.
No, I really do appreciate that, and you're absolutely right. I think that giving parents what they're asking for, I think that's one thing that we've done very well at Learning Heroes. I know you didn't ask this, but one thing that we do very well at Learning Heroes is, like I mentioned, like listening to parents. Like we never want to assume that, hey, this audience or this community, they need this, right? Or I think that's one of the, and I've learned that throughout all of the career and all of the organizations that I've been at, that when you assume and you just kind of figure out, like, I think that you need this, or because I'm working on this particular process or this particular product or resource, I want to put it out there. If it's not what I need, then it's not going to work for me, because that's not my initial most valued need. So figuring out what it is that these parents want and what they need in this current particular time is so, so important, which is why we always stress, and I said this earlier, everything that we do, resources, everything is all based in the research that we do for parents.
Yeah, it really comes through because it's user friendly and it's what you need. And there's even things that I'm like, oh, wow, I need that. Okay, bookmark that. So, well, I wanted to ask a question to Khalid. Like, since you've had a chance to click through the Paths to Success website and the tips for success that we featured in the blog post, which ones, Khalid, did you think resonated most with you and that you think will be the most helpful to you as you're working with families and students?
Well, all 5 of them are pertinent. That's the thing, it's hard to pick just one. I mean, because everything that was on there was something that, I totally agree with. I talked about, the knowing the milestones, the importance of class choice. I think that a lot of times I think sometimes the bad information or maybe misinformation, misunderstanding comes in, and we think that you think it's one way and it's not that way, So like I said, speaking for myself and speaking for the school, the class choice thing is huge because not everybody needs to be taking the same thing. A student who wants to study computer science and another student who wants to study drama, them taking the same science course doesn't help either one of them, or maybe it might help one but not the other. So that was one of the things. The readiness check, I love that because that is one of the big things that, it kind of sounds scary because it's like, oh, well, maybe your child's not ready. It's not so much your child's not ready; it's your child's going to need extra support. It's never. I think a lot of times sometimes, and I know with my students, we're scared of hearing bad news. I'm not so much scared of hearing bad news as I am knowing that this is what I need to do to fix this. And I think that's one of the big pieces of it. With tests, a lot of times we think, oh, well, tests just show me what I don't do well. Well, no, tests give me a chance, and tests give schools a chance to actually determine what it is we need to work on. I tell students if I went to the mechanic and told him my car's not working, and he says, well, what's wrong with it? You say it's not working, and my only response is it doesn't work. They can't fix it, We have to have some kind of diagnostic. We have to have some sort of tool, and the readiness check gives students and families a tool. So I would love if when my students come in, when my 8th graders come in, if the parent says, my student struggles with fractions based on this test, that their numerical, literacy is just not high. Okay, well then we can start working on that. We can start building on that. But until we start knowing what are those points of what are those areas we need to focus on, and use everything as a point of improvement. It's never a crutch. It's never a crippling thing. Like, if you're not good in math, okay, that means you're going to get better in math. It doesn't mean that you're permanently disqualified from ever doing anything in math. It just means that, hey, we're going to have to work a little bit harder. We're going to have to put a little bit more time into it. And a lot of times, it's just building on requisite skills. The plan ahead. I mean, I spent probably 30 minutes in the last webcast talking about planning ahead. So, that goes without saying. But all five areas are things that parents want. Like I said, I've gone from being the educator to now being the parent, and as a parent, I know that it's difficult trying to find these things. It's difficult knowing, okay, this is what my kid needs. I assume, like most parents, my kid got it. They're good. Oh, my kid's he's the brightest boy in the world. And like sometimes I find myself scared to find out, well, maybe he doesn't. But you know what? The quicker we can start working on these things, we're working on math this weekend, and it's like, okay, well, let's just build on this. Let's work on what we don't know. And I think those are some of the tools that we really that families, and I know from my experience, we'll be using moving forward. So
yeah, I remember we talked before about like when you're advising students, like if they come in and they say like, I'm going to be a surgeon, like that's it, I'm going to be a surgeon, and then you sit them down and you're like, okay, let's look at where you are in math and science, and you're like, and I know your approach, you don't say like, no, you can't do that, because that's who does that to a kid? Well, I've had people do it to my kid.
Yeah, you should.
You don't say that to a kid, but you do, like, you need those landmarks, right? You need those steps along the way, and you're like, well, we got some work to do. Here's what it's going to take, and then they can ask themselves, and if they have that drive and they want to get get caught up on math and they want to build, strengthen where they've got their gaps, like more power to them. And I think what I love most of when I see in schools is when like the educators have faith in children that they could get there. And what I don't want to see is anybody like writing off a student because of whatever label or whatever issue that the educator sees. Like what I think the real mission is like educators are in there and saying like how do we get you there? But it can't just be pronouncements. It's like it has to be something practical. It's like, and I feel like this moment that we're in, it's a reckoning, but it shouldn't be with any sense of shame. It's like we've all been through a trauma, and we just need to get a snapshot of where we're at, and that's where like the readiness check, it tells us the truth so that we can work with it and move on. And yeah, like I mean, I'm actually glad that my kids are going to be taking the STAR test this year. That's for non-Texans. That's like our standardized test. Not because like, I mean, it's not necessarily going to be good news, it may or may not, but I mean, I know my kids have been working hard, but I don't think distance learning has been as effective as it would have been if they'd been on campus. The good news, we're all safe and healthy. Like we made it, right?
Exactly.
But I want to know, and that, and we've got time in the summer, we can, the schools we're looking at, they are going to offer some extra instruction in the summer, and, they will help my son who has trouble picking up systems and how things work and how to use a locker. He's going to need a little extra time to get the hang of that. And but the schools know it, and they're going to work with him over the summer, and we're going to get there. So yeah, like I had the same reaction of like looking at the tools and being like, yeah, this is what parents need. This is the moment we're in, and this is how we problem solve. And we do it with data, and we do it with honesty, with love for ourselves and not shame, but but with honesty about what things we need to work on.
And don't rush the process. That's one of the big things. Don't rush this process. It's a process. If with my eighth graders or my ninth graders who are coming in now, with my students who are still enrolling, I'm not expecting them to come out of the blocks. Some of them will. Some of them there may be no slides. Some may be ahead, but for some they're going to struggle. And you know what? It's okay. But I don't have to try and fix you in 6 months. I know a lot of times we get so caught up in standardized testing, and we get so caught up in you're not here yet. You know what? Again, this is my school experience at Madla. The STAR test, it's a test, it's a tool, it's something that our kids take, but it's not the end all be all. I can't base all of my success on this student passes test in the ninth grade. I'm more concerned with, can this student write a good essay by the time they get to their senior year of college? I mean, their senior year of high school. That's what I'm concerned with. Instead of me trying to worry about, meeting every English ability, can I make them better writers? Can I make them better readers? Can I make them better students in mathematics? And understand that if they don't get their freshman year, I had their sophomore year, I had their junior year. Now we're going to build landmarks along the way. I'm not saying that we don't have to do anything, no, but we're going to build every year. As long as we're building every year, you can go wherever you want as long as you know where you're at, and you can plan those steps ahead. And if the biggest and the hardest part is just making sure we understand this is the plan. If a student struggles in math and science and wants to be a surgeon, for me, I know my talk is okay. Well, I'm gonna push you to work really, really hard in your math and science courses. In your math and science courses, you have to give a little bit more time. You have to ask more questions. Don't walk out the room until you understand. Build up those skills. Find out what they need. So, and that's one of the things that the website really, really helps parents start figuring out. And how you said it, you want to give kids that autonomy, but a lot of times they want to pull the ripcord. You've been checking your kid's backpack from kinder through eighth grade, now ninth grade. You're like, okay, I'm never gonna check your backpack. You got it. Well, no, you want to give them that autonomy, but it's a process. Let's build into that. Let's work on coming up with this plan. Instead of me checking your backpack every day, maybe on Fridays I may check it. And then if we go 2-3 months, okay, now I have to check it once a month. Things like that. So start building that process up.
Yeah. Howard, you were going to add something, I guess, is like Khalid and I were both reacting to the readiness check. Did you have a thought on that?
I am so happy that you guys love the readiness check. Absolutely, in love with the fact that you guys love it so much. And like the reaction that you're giving is exactly what we wanted when we created the readiness check. Is literally giving parents and families that extra check, you know, of like where your child is. And like you mentioned, it's not a, oh, if you're in eighth grade, right? Like if you're like, let's just, you know, the analogy that you have a child that's going from eighth grade to high school, but they're reading, you take the readiness check and they're reading on like sixth or seventh grade reading level, right? Does that mean like I'm going to, you know, just kind of be like mad at you or like figure like what's going on? No, like now I know as we're preparing you for high school, I need to use the resources that the readiness check provides to help prepare you to get you on that eighth and ninth grade reading level, so that when you start high school in the fall, that we kind of, you know, transitioned you from whatever grade level reading level that you were on. You're at the appropriate one. And also something else that you had mentioned, Cleve, that I really, really loved was, you know, like I said, giving students and families and teachers as well, you know, kind of giving them that grace as a child is kind of going through high school, right? Like I know, like when I was in high school, I remember I changed what I wanted to be in like 20 times, right? Like when I started high school, I wanted to be a chef. By 10th grade, I wanted to be a writer. Then there, I wanted to be a business owner, and you know, so I literally changed what I wanted so many times. So, which is why, you know, something like class choices is so important. Where back to the whole one size fits one and not one size fits all, like figuring out what it is that like you kind of want to do long term in your career, and what if there are opportunities and resources provided by your school, what should you be taking? You know, like I should not be taking an AP anatomy and physiology class, you know, just because you say that I should, if I literally have absolutely no interest whatsoever in the sciences, right? Like, why am I an AP science course and I have no interest in biology and science and medicine or anything in the STEM fields, right? And then also something that you mentioned, knowing the milestones and knowing about your particular school. Like I know when here in Baltimore, we have, I don't know if you guys know, called IB courses, right? Which is like the sister to like AP courses. And I took a bunch of IB courses, you know, when I was in high school, but then realized that, you know, like, okay, I probably didn't even take all these IB courses that I took. I could have taken AP courses instead, or I could have just taken regular honors courses, or I could have just taken regular courses in general, you know. But adding all of those extra layers, you know, it definitely made high school a little bit harder and challenging for me, maybe more challenging than it needed to be. But I think overall, just understanding what it is that your child needs and wants, and kind of coupling that with, you know, you doing the best for your child and working with your child's teacher, the administrator, and your child. Like I think that's another piece we don't want to miss out. Is a lot of times they're you know, the forces, they forget that the child and the student, they are part of this equation as well. You know, especially when you're in high school, like, you know, high school, giving them that autonomy and giving them that independence, they now do have more of a say than they did, you know, in third grade. Like, no, I don't want to do this. Well, in third grade, you really don't have a choice. But, you know, in 10th, 11th grade, as they're beginning, you know, maturing into young adults, they do have more, you know, they should have more, a little bit more say so. So making sure that they're included in those conversations is super important to address their success as they go forward in high school.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, what you just said, like I think that when students transition, I know one of the things we look at, our program is designed where students can earn their associate's degree along with their high school diploma. So when my students finish, they're essentially getting ready to start their junior year of college at 18 years old. So one of the big things that my students have to be able to do is they have to be able to speak up and advocate for themselves. Mm-hmm. And all the time, you have to be able to advocate for yourself. When you go to the college, when you go to your first new student orientation, and you're there to register for classes, you can't just wait around and say, well, put me in whatever. You know, you go. I tell them, go get ready to go get with your advisor, and tell them these are the courses I need. You know, if you go to a registrar, go to an advisor and say, I don't know what I need to take. I just want to take something. You know, that's where college becomes I don't want to say wasting money, but that's where you waste money in college. If you go there and just say, I don't know, just do something, I just want to be here. Well, no. You can't go in there. When I ask my students, okay, I meet with every 11th grader and their family, and the student and the parent, and say, okay, what do we want to do? And the student, okay, student, where do we want to go? What do you want to study? And start getting that on the website. One of the things is reflect on their interests. I have to know what you're interested in. And what your interests are is not always what you're good at, or what you're good at is not always your interest. Some students love math, some students are great in math, but don't want to do a math field. They want to go into the arts. Okay, that's fine. I could say, well, you're awesome in math. You got an A in pre-calculus, so you have to take calculus. And he's like, Mr. Zakaria, I want to be a game designer. Okay, well, let's pull back. I can't make a choice for them. And I think that's a real critical piece, is bringing that student in and letting the student understand this is your choice. Speak up for yourself. Tell me what you want, because I can help you, but if I don't know what you want, then I can't do anything.
Yeah. Wow. This is a great conversation. I want to make sure I give y'all each a chance for closing thoughts, and also to do some shout outs, and invite parents who are and students, if they're curious about this, where they can go to learn more. Okay, so how about I'll send it to Khalid. I'm going to put up the website for your school. So if you've mentioned that it's an early college high school, so they're earning their associate's degree, they can transfer those credits to a 4-year college. So how can families learn more about Reacclimating Madla Early College High School?
Well, first thing, go to the website. Check out the website. There's a lot of good information on our website. If you have a student who's in the 8th grade, you're transitioning to 9th grade, and you don't know where you want your student to go, I encourage you to check out the website. Contact us. Our contact information is on the website. It's a great program. I'm excited about next year. I get excited every year when I get to bring in new students, but it's an awesome program. I can probably talk for another 30 minutes about the amazing things we've done at the school, the amazingness of the program. But it's a great program. It's a place where you can bring your child. Your student's going to be loved. Your student's going to be cared for, and your student is going to be pushed and challenged to take that next step and to go to the next level. One thing I always tell my students: it's 6 years of school in 4, but it's also still a 6-year journey, because it doesn't stop when you graduate high school. I want to see my students finish their undergraduate degree when they're 20, 21 years old, which I'm starting to have students do. I've had like 7 graduates from my class of 2018. They graduated high school in 2018. They graduated college in 2020. So, that's an experience. That's something I really want to share with our families and share with our community. I'm San Antonio, born and raised, and my goal is always to give back. And through the school, I've had the avenue to give back, and the school offers an amazing opportunity. So if you're interested, please check out our website, apply, and we would love to have you. We'd love to see you in the fall.
Yeah, no, I know from talking to you and from Jeff, like, you guys are really looking out for the kids and helping them plan the future that they want, letting them speak up and have a voice in it, but also like giving them opportunities to be independent that they might not get in a typical high school, but they're able to like learn how to function on a college campus. So they're launched off in the world with lots of tools and lots of potential.
And we are located on the campus of Palo Alto College, so your students do get the full college management experience. We have probably 90 different course offerings. So whatever your student is interested in, if Palo Alto offers it, we can work on trying to get your student to experience that. And sometimes you find out what you like, sometimes you find out what you don't like. But again, we want to give students that opportunity, give students that chance to really explore, find themselves, find their voice, and lead and be successful when they graduate with us.
Yeah. No, there's so many. I'm in this process too. Thinking about what high school. I'm talking to my son about it, and there's a lot out there. So Reacclimating Madla is a great option. There's more options on the SA Turtle Moms website. We have a school finder, and you can filter just for high schools on there. And I want to toss it over to Howard to talk more about like where families should find the Paths to Success resources. I'll pop the URL up there as well. And just sort of like, what do you encourage families to do with this? What do you hope they take away from it?
Yeah, no, thank you. So Inga has put the URL there, so you can be found at our website, bealearninghero.org. And when you get there, you'll be able to download a printable version of the one pager that I spoke about. So the great thing is that Path to Success is both digital and it's non-digital. Exactly. And if you go onto the site, you'll be able to traverse the site and review the many different available resources that we do offer, not just with Path to Success, and also where Path to Success leads you, right? Because it's not just like, oh, you go here, it's a one and done thing. Like, you can definitely go down the rabbit hole on our site, because there's so many different options, so many different resources that we do provide. And then also, one awesome thing that we do with our resources, particularly with Path to Success, is that we customize it with our partners, right? So we've done that with San Antonio Charter Moms, where we provide not only robust resources for like on the national space, but on the localized space as well, where people in San Antonio, we realize that, hey, I live in San Antonio, so I need resources that are specific to where I live. So being able to partner with an organization like you guys and providing those resources about like knowing milestones and things like that are specific to San Antonio really resonate with your audience. So we do, we can provide that link for you guys so that Inga can share that out with you. But then also, aside from just Path to Success, we also have the readiness check that both of you guys talked about. And the readiness check is our big call to action for Path to Success, and let's face it, when a child is behind, it can be hard for teachers to share that information with parents. It can be hard for parents to have that conversation with teachers, So the great thing about the readiness check, as Khalid mentioned earlier, was that it feels like a game, right? And it's not a test. It's 3 to 5 highly predictive questions that were designed by reading and math experts. And essentially, you would, as the parent, kind of set them up, have them take the 3 to 5 questions. They would give the device, and it's also device friendly, so if you can take it on a TV. I'm sorry, not a TV. Well, if you have a smart TV, you probably could take it on that too. But you can take it on.
You'd be surprised what you can do with game consoles. So actually, locally, Bernie ISD, they set up their remote education so you could actually do it from a PlayStation. Now, I think that is highly risky to let kids school on a PlayStation. I don't recommend that.
Well,
it's technically possible.
I'm pretty sure wherever there's connections to the internet, you can probably do it. I just found out that you can go on Twitter on a refrigerator. I did not know that. Literally, I'm like, okay, that's pretty interesting. But yeah, so you would take the readiness check on a mobile device, a computer, laptop, tablet. And then once the child is done taking the readiness check, you would give it back to the parent and see how they scored. And depending on how they scored, it would then provide you with so many free skill-specific activities and resources that then you can use to support learning at home. Another awesome resource, and I know I'm like kind of cut for time, but another resource that I definitely want to kind of plug is our Ask a Teacher guide. And Ask a Teacher was a resource that was birthed from our parent town hall last year, because we got over 5,000 questions from parents asking for resources. And a lot of those questions came from middle school parents, and which is why Path to Success was created. And, we worked with National and State Teachers of the Year. And the amazing, there's just the rich conversation that we got from that was just immeasurable. Being able to have teachers, the people who are with your child most of the day, answer those hot button questions that you as a parent have was just so invaluable. And it also helped to build that partnership that parents and teachers so desperately need in order to make sure and ensure the success of that student. So those are just a couple of the amazing resources that we do have on our website, along with Path to Success. So definitely check it out.
I'm glad you brought up Ask a Teacher. I'm going to look into that more. I feel like that. So Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up in early May, and I feel like that there's just this like healing. There's this reconciliation that needs to happen. Because I know teachers have just gone above and beyond. I mean, learning all this new tech but also parents have gone above and beyond because they've had to step in and do things that teachers would typically do. So it's just a bad situation because there's just not enough time and energy to go around. But I think it's caused a fraying of the trust that should exist between teachers and parents. And so, I like tools like this that create honesty and reconciliation and keep the dialogue going. I think that's really important. So going to be looking into that. So, but this is why it's my show. So if we go over time, if we go over our target, that's totally okay. It was everything you guys said was worth it. I'm really proud to have this on our site and really grateful for this conversation. So does Howard and then Khalid, you want to offer just like a closing thought, like about, for parents and middle schoolers, like what's the takeaway? Like what's your touchstone that's going to help your kids succeed?
Yeah, so I think the one thing that I would say is something that we've been saying throughout the entire broadcast, and that is, just giving grace to everyone, all parties involved, right? So the parent, the teacher, the student, the educator, like everyone, because we all started this pandemic at the same time, right? But the misconception is, hey, we were all in the pandemic, together, right? We were all there. We all went through it. But the issues and the challenges that were faced throughout the pandemic definitely was not the same, So as we come out on the other side of it, understanding that just because your child's best friend was also, doing virtual learning does not mean, and they were perfectly fine going back into, school come the fall. That doesn't automatically, it shouldn't automatically be assumed that your child is going to be fine as well. And one thing that you mentioned, Khalid, that I definitely want all of the parents watching to kind of take is this idea that when you do things like the readiness check and you kind of see like, hey, my child isn't where I thought that they should be or where they need to be, just kind of taking a step back and say, you know what? That's okay. We'll work through it, because then now it gives us a starting point. And you mentioned this a lot. It allows us to know where you're at so that we can kind of take the necessary steps to get to where we should be. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, thank you, Howard. Khalid, yeah, what's your advice? How do families find the paths to success for their middle schoolers, high schoolers?
Well, two-pronged. The first thing, one of the things we do at our school is we have an induction ceremony for our students, and we highlight the partnership between the family, the students, and school. And it's a partnership. You have to stay involved with your students. The natural inclination is there in high school. Like you got it. No, the same way you're involved with them in elementary is going to look a little bit different, but it's the same level of involvement. So getting that involvement together, getting that plan down. That leads to the second part of it. Don't allow this pandemic to define the rest of their life. A lot of time our inclination is, well, it happened, so I can never move forward. We can move forward from this, and we're going to move forward from this. I would love for parents to come to our school. We're working with our students to build that plan, but wherever a parent decides to send their eighth grader or their student going into eighth grade or whatever, build the plan from there. It's something that we can bounce back from. I told students, my juniors who were going into their senior year, this can be an amazing college essay. Like this is telling the story about what it was like to overcome the pandemic. That's going to be just as powerful as what's going to happen in the future. So, don't let this define you. Build a plan, move forward with it, and remember, we're all in this together. Education, one of the rewarding and hard parts of education is my effectiveness is based on the performance of someone else. So I embrace that. I take that on, and I tell my students, your success is my success is your success, and we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter how hard I think I'm working. If my students aren't getting anything from it, I have to step back and I have to change something in me. So getting students and getting families to build that partnership with the school, build that plan for your student. You're not going to fix it in a day, even if it takes all the way to their 11th grade year. You know what? We have to work on it. As long as we're moving forward, as long as we're getting better, as long as we're progressing, that's what's most important. And don't get caught trying to, fix this overnight. It's not going to be fixed overnight. But we can build and make a plan to where in 2025, when my incoming ninth graders are graduating high school, and yes, I'm already thinking about that, they're gonna come out stronger and better and be prepared to take over the world.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like my cup is full. I like so many great ideas from this conversation. I'm really happy to bring you guys together. I'm so proud to have like the past success resources on the website, and I hope that lots of families in San Antonio make use of the customized resources that are specific to San Antonio. So thank you also both so much, and I hope to work together with you again, together or separately. This is a great team.
All right. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, all. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Take care.